My name's Amanda. I am the head of mining at Galaxy Digital. When we started putting together this conference, they said, hey, will you talk about building a community? And I said, my community is machines that I plug into a wall, so I don't think that I'm the best person for the topic. And the first person that came to mind for me was Roya. Roya has done incredible work in Afghanistan, teaching young women. To give a little bit of background, she was a CEO at the age of 23. She was on Time's most influential people by the time she was 25. And she has done incredible work in a place where women couldn't do incredible work. It was very challenging. So I would love to start talking about your background, how you started getting into the tech space, how you broke through. And I think that is, we can start there because there's a lot of what you've done that I think would be really helpful for the community.
First of all, good afternoon, everyone. And thank you very much, Amanda, for having me here today. I wanted to just start at that, that sometimes the biggest obstacles in the life just come from the next door and just on the streets. It's sometimes coming from the people that you previously know them as a friends, neighbors, and then colleagues and their family. But the good news is that the courageous people are just the next door as well. I mean, I want to tell you that I'm coming from Herat, Afghanistan is my hometown, is a place of the courageous people, and is a city that was blasting once with wonderful of new and modern things. It's a city of the poem, cultural, and a lot of the writers in Afghanistan. In 1996, when Taliban took over for the first time in the power, there was an empty plot of the land across of the house that's where I was living, and one night Taliban knocking door to door and demanding to collect all the TVs and books and videotapes. At the time there was videotapes that you could watch your cartoons and the film, and they collected everything and they put it on that empty plot of the land. And from the window of my house I saw that how they set them on the fire, and I saw that how the freedom, knowledge, and ideas first set on the fire, then next turned to the ash. And at that moment, I was just wanted that I could have some devices or some things that you could read your books and you could watch your cartoons, but you could make it disappear before anyone came and take it from you and prevented you to increase your knowledge. Years after that, we went to from Afghanistan, we went to Iran during the Taliban regime, and in 2003 we returned back to Afghanistan when US and NATO allies were in Afghanistan. And there were a lot of opportunity at the time for the people, and again down the street of our house there was an internet club, and in that internet club there was a computer. And people talk about this magic box that connect you with the world, and you can find any information you want. Even back at that time, there was only one library in Herat that you could find information. And if you find books, but if you wanted to get new books, you have to write the names of the book, and then someone should go to Iran, and you have to wait 2-3 months that you can get the updated one. And everybody was so fascinated about this device, and I only wanted to go there. And when it wasn't good for a girl to walk in a club, it was only for like my cousins, the brothers. For a man it was okay to go, but not for a woman. I was insisted to go and see this magic box, and one day early morning, the owner of the shop allowed me to get in. And for the first time when I saw the computer, I get in love with that. Just with a few key strokes, it's launched me to a world that. They honor the contribution of the women, and with a few key strokes, you could, it showed me that how many communities around the world celebrated diversity, and with a few key strokes, it's opened up my eyes that I can dedicate the possibility of dedicating my life for uplifting the population that was mistreated, and and I wanted that to make somehow to be technology be the center of my career.
And you grew up with 7 children total, right? You were in the middle. You had 3 older brothers, 3 younger siblings. And so we were talking when we grabbed coffee, and she was saying that she always had to prove herself for attention, right, from her family, which makes sense with 7 children. That's a lot. How were your parents supportive of you with getting into tech? Obviously, like that was a very male-dominated industry. Were they supportive? Did they encourage you? How, like, do you think that that was helpful to you to become what you became today?
Yes, of course. My father was engineer by background, so he wanted that we do a study because he had seen that how his sister during the communists, when they came to Afghanistan during the Russian time, they left Afghanistan, they went to Iran, and he saw that how his sister's lives was miserable because they were not educated enough, and they were very relying on their abused husbands, and he didn't want the same things is happening to us. And he was supporting, but as many other Middle Eastern, or Afghan families, the parents wants you be a doctor or be like civil engineer or be a lawyer. Not a computer science at the time, and many people didn't know what the computer science is and what the field is. And we had a concours as an exam in 3 exams that you have to pass, and then you can select which university you want. And I saw the computer science, and I was just selected the only things. And I just told my father that, oh, I was just accepted in this university, but at this faculty. But later my father was supportive. But at the time, even the computer science was very new. Many people thought that we will be good typists, so they didn't understand that we can be an engineer. Or it was take years after that people understood that.
Yeah. And it seemed like that fueled you to build this army of women, right? Like that you've referenced that in the past, that you wanted to help women grow and learn about computer science, where obviously at a college education is extremely important. How did you make that part of your focus?
Well, during when I was in computer science, we had a few female students there, and I just noticed that even the female students were very good in the maths and in programming, but they often cannot find the good jobs outside of the faculty because they have lack of practicing their skills, and there is less opportunity for women to work. And all I wanted is to start something that created a safe environment for women, that they can come there and they can welcoming their talent and their voices being heard. And that was the reason that I started my company to create a safe place for women in engineering and in programming, and we can working there and prove it that we as a woman also can do that.
Financial freedom obviously is something very different in the US, right, than it is in Afghanistan. So when you were teaching women how to code, was there any issues with the banking system? And how did you solve some of those concerns?
Yeah, I mean, it's back into we build in a platform, an online platform that is allowed women to writing the blogs, and they can share the videos, and then based on the content that they created, we pay them. We created base scores that is measure the activities of the women, and many of our staff and also the bloggers that who work for us, they had an issue to have a bank account, and still in Afghanistan, even before the collapse of the governments, we only had 85% of population didn't trust the banks, so they didn't have a bank account. But at that time, only those who worked for the UN or international organization had a bank, especially women, and they didn't trust bank. Simply because we had a Hawala system which people more trusted, and still people trust that, and there are many reasons. First, you needed a lot of documentation and ID that to register, and many of the women didn't had also the ID card to register, and then you needed the family permissions to go to. It's a culture thing. Not does a bank require you, but after 18 you could open a bank account, but it's a culture thing. So you needed to have a family permission, and most of men says the family says, why you want to open a bank account? You want to separate your monies from us? And what's going on? Because women, when they make money, they have to bring the monies where they were in the house, and they give it to the man of the family, either a father or husband, or sometimes a brother. So that was all those issues that we faced. Women didn't had they had very limited opportunity to get their financial freedom. And is a way was for men to keep the power in the house. That's, I guess.
And you've done a ton of work. Like, you've had that company, you have a couple other companies too, right, that you worked on. Part of one of the companies is working with robotics, right? Can you get a little into that, explain what you've been doing there, and maybe provide some stories around some women that have been like leading examples because of the programs that you created?
Sure. And so in 2014, because of struggle and obstacle that I faced in Afghanistan because of the work that I did, I had to leave Afghanistan. And then I feel that if you want to bring a change in a society and you will be the only person or if one of the few, it would be difficult because conservative and society is not ready for the change. And that's when I was coming to the US, I was thinking that how we can giving the access to opportunity to more women and educate more women. That's why I started Digital Sun Fund with one goal and one dream. The goal was the technology be as an accessible option for everyone, but the dream was that the women in conservative countries have access to the quality of education, especially in technology, and they learn about the financial literacy. That was the reason that we started DCF. And then through DCF, we're building the IT centers inside of the public schools and teaching young girls from 12 to 18 to learn about basic things, how to work with the computer, to a level that they can do the coding, they can start, learning about robotics, they learn about blockchains, and they learn also financial literacy, that how to manage the money from level of home to level of entrepreneurship. We built 13 technology centers. We built 2 individual innovation STEM centers in Kabul and Herat. We trained more than 16,000 of the girls to get come to our programs, and 55,000 in our networks get access to the internet. And we also help hundreds of them to start their own startups. How I got involved with robotics, in 2017, there was an international robotic competition in US they invited many countries around of the world, so they contact me and ask me if I know a team of teenagers that they can participate in robotics. And I told them that, well, I'm not sure about robotics because robotics is very new in Afghanistan. And the guy told me that either find a team or maybe build a team. And then I decided to build a team, and I built a team of all girls because it's definitely sent a message for women in Afghanistan and the women in the world. And that's how we took an exam. We got 7 students we selected, but then their visa application rejected. It was during the President Trump. And so we used the social media to telling our stories, and we reached out to 53 U.S. congressmen to sign the petitions, and millions of the people trying to support that that the girls can come here. And finally, the girls could come here, and they won the silver medal for their courageous achievement. But what is happening is that we saw that the community changed. The community, when the girls return back, they start to respect them. Obviously, some didn't like it. They didn't want that the girls travel without the mahram or without the men. And but many in the community start to support the initiative. And we keep up with the robotic team to go to many other competitions. And we also found out the mathematics and teaching the robotics is important for the children at a young age, and that's how we got the community to support us. And as well, we changed the conservative men's view on the women's ability in IT and technology.
So you told me that you have an interesting relationship with Bitcoin. Obviously, when we think about building financial freedom, everyone always talks about how Bitcoin and other digital assets, right, are perfect for that. You actually did that, right? You used Bitcoin in the communities to help women. What happened? Obviously, this is a very volatile asset, right? It goes up, it goes down, it goes sideways. We have no control over it. Did that have any negative impact on how people thought about Bitcoin in the space? And did it change how you paid women?
Yeah, I mean, and as I mentioned, we had this platform that allowed women to write blogs, and we had hundreds of women across the country, and we extended the program in Pakistan and Egypt as well. But the hurdles that we had is to paying women. And we usually get the money from the bank, and then we have to go. And you know, when you go to the bank and you have a lot of cash with yourself, and when you go out, there is a risk of thief. There is risk of being kidnapped. Always there is a risk, especially when you're living in a poor communities. And we had that risk. And then when you distributed cash, some our recipient says that they haven't received the money. So there is no record that to figure out that they really receive it or they didn't. And we had always this kind of the challenges. And then we tried to using the Western Union on MoneyGram was very expensive. It's out of the thinking. And then we decided to using the mobile money. And mobile money, it was very great program in Kenya, but it wasn't work in Afghanistan. It was still expensive for the, and it didn't work. So then we decided to use PayPal account, and PayPal wasn't working in Afghanistan, Pakistan because of sanitation. And then we heard about Bitcoin early of 2013, and I was at the beginning was skeptical to use Bitcoin, but my business partner, who was Italian American who live in New York, and he says, no, this is fantastic. It's a very fast way that we can send the money to Afghanistan. And then I was a little bit start to do some research about Bitcoin, and I found out, oh, this is interesting. It's kind of similar to Hawala, but as we call it the digital Hawala. So then we decided to implement Bitcoin, and the great things about Bitcoin was with the magic. When you send the money in a few minutes, it was appear in the wallet of these women, and they receive money, and they own the money. They keep the money as they were their own banks, you know, and their cell phones, so they could go anywhere, and that's how they we got involved with Bitcoin.
Were there any issues that you had with paying in Bitcoin?
Yeah, of course. One of the issues was the price going up and down a lot, and every time it goes down, obviously your staff calling, and then it says that they lost their monies and they want the money, and then when it goes up, no one is calling you, or everybody was happy, and that was one of the issue. And the second is that many of the times our user forgot the password, and then so they lost the money if they were not keeping the password, and especially the 12 words that we asked them to writing down, many of them losing that. And that was also another issues. But for us, I mean, yes, I lost my business because of Bitcoin. And when the price goes up, we bought more, and we put whole business in the Bitcoin. And then when it goes down, and obviously we had hundreds of these people who get paid, and they all demanding because they lost all of their earning, and I decided to give back all the monies that it was a difference, and that's how I one of the reasons that the company fall. And yeah, Bitcoin, it's I have a love and hates with it, but I still love it. And even at the time that we lost it, and many of the people, my competitor in IT industries, they made an excuse that you're a fraud, you know, that's because they didn't understand how the Bitcoin is work, and they because of that, and because of your reputation, I had to do that. So.
Yeah, it's interesting. We talked a lot today about, you know, choosing your own path. I really loved Byron's talk earlier about how he said, don't choose the easy path, right? And that's certainly what you've done in your space. It seems like it really has paid off for you. You've created an enormous amount of success for yourself, have taught a ridiculous amount of people how to code, and given them, you know, access to freedom, and also taught a lot of people about Bitcoin. I think this industry is new. We'll see lots of people get into it, love it, you know, have concerns with it, but financial freedom is for sure, I think, one of the most important things for every community. I think we are out of time, right? Was there any last thoughts?
I think that everyone is in this room. I just wanted to say something, that be kind of a person who can open the door and remove the walls, and you know, filling the shelf of the book and instead of emptying them. And I'm sure that anyone in your life probably needs your support, and trying to helping those who needs it. And I think that one way is to increasing the cryptocurrencies adoption, and especially Bitcoins in developing countries, is by mass education. If people knows about cryptocurrency, they knows about Bitcoins, and have aware, they know that how to use it. I think it make it very difficult for the governments, for politicians to stop it.
Makes a ton of sense. Thank you, Roya.